actually, you know, society is really run by fear. You know, a lot of people scared of many different political movements, and you know, today I heard that the city of LA, you know, slashed the budget for police $150 million. I mean, you know, one time I heard that when a police officer got interviewed, so before really defund the police was not really clear in a shape. He said that you know, city will be like the movie setting, like Batman, the Gotham City. So it means that it is gonna be very unsafe and a lot of the violence going on. You know, but we are Christians, right? We are Christians, and we must see the world somewhat differently. At the same time, you know, we must play on the really somewhat, you know, so we must be prepared. You know, what's going on in the future actually. We will thank the Lord that we have the Bible, we have the living Word, we have God's revelation, and we have God's letter from heaven to still tell us and sharing us and revealing what's going on in this world, at the same time what's going on in the future, and what to do as believers. Okay, what to do. How shall we live in this really chaotic, confused, very strange, and scary world? You know, Bible is, we know, they're very sufficient, which is really enough to tell us how to keep our salvation intact and also continually living out as true believers, even though on the outside there's something we cannot guess and assume. We don't know what's going on. I mean, Jesus said that when He's coming, the world is like a Noah's world, and we see this world is getting more like Sodom and Gomorrah, you know. But we should not really give up. We should not really do nothing else. No, it's not like that. We must do something. I think Psalm 140 says something like that. It's a David's personal, you know, situation. You know, he faced some very evil, very you know, wicked situation right now. From verse 1 to 5, you know, David continually demand God to do something because he is in big trouble. You know, in David's life, particularly two different, you know, his tragic being chased by somebody. One is King Saul. Another one is his son Absalom, which is very, very his it was his crisis, and then it's all close to death actually in many moments. You know, I talk about later. I'm gonna share with you a little bit of David's feeling and emotions about when you're being chased by King Saul endlessly. But from verse 1 to verse 5, it sounds very emergency. It sounds very urgent. It sounds very, you know, he is almost done actually. I mean, in our situation, people like normal people, maybe they take their lives, they killing themselves. He's being completely cornered. Probably he might think that there's no other place to turn around. He's being surrounded by, circumvented by his enemies completely, right? So, you know, he has nowhere to go. That's why he keeps saying, rescue me and preserve me, right? And the verse 3, he said, you know, they sharpen their tongues as a serpent. And the verse 4, keep me and preserve me again. And the verse 5, the proud have hidden a trap for me, and course they have spread a net by the wayside. They will set snares for me. So especially in the book of Psalms, you know, when Psalms use the word net, which is really there's no way to escape, right? No way to escape. You know, we Christians, you know, we're not living in a really magical world. Christianity is not magical. So people sometimes think that when they become Christian, you're full of happiness, everything's done well, God is with you, God helps you, God loves you, God always is from other, your problems, no problem. If you believe in Christ, have no problem at all. Whatever you do, winning a lottery, it's sort of such a wonderful, sound good, perfect promises that we might hear so many years, right? When I was a kid, I heard so many things like that. When I came by, group of Christian came by my house and they said, you really just know, sicknesses, you will be healed, and then God really, make some performance miracles for you, and all kinds of magical promises. But when you look at the life of Jesus Christ, it's completely opposite. His life from the beginning to the end, one day another after another day. From man's perspective, there's not even one good day with Jesus Christ. Not even one good day. From man's perspective. Every day, Jesus lived over 33 years. Even day one, even he was pregnant, his mom and dad must be, right? That's the life of Jesus Christ, right? But then, Jesus never lost. He won though. He won his life. His life was very triumphant, victorious. God expects that. God expects to be live like that. Even though probably our suffering, our tragedy, our problems may not like what Jesus really went through, but still we are going through some evil and wickedness and problems. Sometimes we are struggling with some prayers that we have prayed for a long time, but God has not answered yet. It seems like in a limbo. It seems like there will be nothing to happen actually. We believe that God is Almighty, God is a true God, and then God can do anything He wants. He's sovereign God. When I explain later more. But in our real life, when you look at why it's not happening, as you expect from our Christianity or our God. David appointed king. He preserved king. He anointed by King Samuel, the prophet Samuel, a long time ago. He's the real first king of Israel's history. But he's being cornered now. He's being, in danger now. How he handled it? How David handled that situation? When you have that kind of situation, how you handle biblically. So Bible is not quiet. Bible is not silent. Bible say something that we have to look for, to find out, to know that some solution to our problems. Even though the world is going to turn upside down, but we still stand strong, stand right. We still stand really still before the Lord, right? Even though the world is really going through the full of really turmoil and then unrest moment, but Christians must be different. Why? We have the Word of God, and it still tells you what to do. Take a look at verse 6 and 7. This is how David, has it to face his problems. Even though he will hurriedly ask God to rescue and preserve him, but then at the same time, David have a certain amount of conviction in something. Verse 6, I said to the Lord, you are my God. Whatever happens, man, whatever happens, you need your own God. And I'm saying, you need your own God. You must say like David, I have my God. Not pastor's God, not any leader's God, not your husband's God, not anybody's God, your God. You must deal with him, you must meet him, you must talk to him, you must really ask him, you must really have him, you must walk with him, right? Your God. Even though we are married, that doesn't mean that husband and wife will divide the same God. No. I have my own God, you have your own God. David said, I said to the Lord, you are my God. You are my God. It's a weird saying though, right? You are my God. I mean, you are God. I understand that. David's a believer. He believes in God, right? You are God. That's fine. That's enough. But David pointedly saying, specifically saying, specially saying, uniquely saying, David said, you are my God. David said, I said. Okay, the word said in Greek and Hebrew, I think it's a normal, general, it's an ordinary word. Because I look for concordance, the word says so many. I don't know which one David will pinpoint. So many. Say and said, saying, says. To say means I say, I speak. I speak to my wife. I speak and I speak to anybody. Generally, I speak, I talk. He said, I said to the Lord. I mean, he was being chased by somebody. He needs some rescue. He needs some power to get out of his situation, for his really tragic situation. But then he said, I said to the Lord. I said to the Lord. What does it mean actually? What David tried to transliterate here actually? What David tried to communicate? I said, which implies that David is saying that now this is my cradle statement, my heartfelt, my genuine, my unfeigned statement. You know what I'm saying? My unfeigned, genuine, real statement. Every church they on and on the internet they say this is our church's faith statement. His presentation, right? David's presentation, David's creedal statement, his faith statement, his heart statement is I said what to the Lord. Situation is going on. It's remaining still is a hot and really dangerous waters out there. I know that it's stormy, right? It's stormy, and then we cannot really walk through by alone. Actually, we cannot do that we can do that. But then you know what? That's one thing. But another is I said this is something I want to say. This is my cradle, faithful statement. I said. Actually, David used another psalm, Psalm 16 verse 2. I said to the Lord, you are my Lord, I am no good besides you. But the verse 1 saying, preserve me, O God, for I take refuge in you. Okay, this is what God is. And then I said, I repeat it after you. Right? I repeat it after you. I believe what you are. And then I continue to say the same thing. Which is, he tried to put himself in between what God is and another what God is. Two different, biblical God nature. And then in between, I am here. And then I said. Like, Jacob, when he escaped from his brother Esau in the wilderness, so-called Bethel. In his vision, he saw God. Between earth and heaven, there's a big ladder, an angel just going up, coming down. Genesis chapter 28, verse 15 to 16. Behold, I am with you, will keep you wherever you go, and bring you back this land. I will not leave you until I have done what I promised you. This is what said to Jacob in his dream. Then Jacob awake his sleep and said, Jacob said, surely the Lord is in this place, and I did not know it. Which is, he said, wow, I never expect the different aspect, the nature of God. David here said, I said, even though what's going through is sad and bad and really scary, but when I look at God, I said, wow, this is my God. That kind of perspective. I said this, wow, so bad. But I said that, wow, it's a wow moment, God's moment, wow moment. To whom? The Lord. I said, the Lord. Lord means, Lord means Yahweh. I said to the Yahweh. I said to Yahweh, which is I am what I am, who is self-existent, who exists before anything was created. That's why God is uncursed. Everything is cursed because everything is being created by God. God is the one who is not created at all. He's no curse. That's what it means by the Lord. I said to the Lord. And then he said, you are my God. Lord, you are my God. What does God mean? God is Elohim here, which is three different persons in one essence. Genesis 1, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Before the creation, there's one being staying forever, who is God. Think about it. What happens caused by something created, right? Even culture is created by those people who has their own family to feed. This is what culture is. Culture is not a mystical thing at all. Culture made by man who has family to feed. You understand? Culture is not with something sick. It's not really supernatural power. It's not like that. Culture is created by man or people who has their own family to feed. That's why those people continue creating their own culture. Everything caused by anything that was created. But even before God existed, he said, you are my God. Do you have your own God, actually? When things happen, when it's surrounded by something that you don't want, even though it's not happening as you wish, but do you still have your own God? My God, your God, having my God, holding you God is very important. Let me give one example. Matthew 27, verse 46. About the ninth hour, Jesus cried out with loud voice saying, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. That is, my God, why have you forsaken me? Jesus said, the Son of God was being hanged on the cross, and then, my God, he used to be with the Father closely, always connected, always intimately, right? On the cross, because of his sin that he didn't do but carrying our sins, that God considered him as if he did everything, right? And then he said, my God. Jesus knew it was the saddest moment, the worst moment of his life, living abandoned, separating himself from his Father. My God. That's it. Even Jesus has said, my God, my God. David strong. David stands still. David stand really, confident actually. Even though things are going, he cannot ignore that. He's still scared though. Why scared though? But David said, I said to the Lord, you are my God. Another Psalm 22 verse 1. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Then David considered himself as a sheep. And the Lord is my shepherd, and that I'm his sheep. To have my God means we must something distinctive between God and me and God and you. Okay? God and me and God and you. He must be the perfect object of faith. He must be, we must obey to him. We must trust him, right? My God. Let me give for example. Take Apostle Paul, Galatians 2:20. He said, he's God like this. I've been crucified with Christ, and it is no longer I who live, but Christ lives in me. And the life which I now live in the flesh, I live by faith. What? My God. Who is it? The Son of God. He said, I will not live in the flesh. I live by faith in the Son of God. That is His God, and that is our God. You know? So you said, oh, I have my God. What does it mean? Do you live by faith? Right? Do you live by faith? Paul said, I live in the flesh. This is reality. This is physical life. As long as we live here, we must live by the faith in the Son of God. In the Son of God, who loved me and gave Himself up for me. Another example, John 20, verse 27, 28. This is the story of Thomas. He said to Thomas, reach here with your finger and see my hands, and reach your hand and put into my side, and do not be unbelieving but believing. Thomas answered and said to him, my Lord, my God. Thomas, my Lord, my God. Thomas said, you know what? I know the apostle, other fellow apostles say, hey, this is what I see, what I meet, what I talk to him, and this is what I understand about God. No. I need my God, my Lord. And I have to look for Him. I have to see Him, touch Him, find out Him. This belongs to me and He belongs to me. My God, not your God and your Lord. He didn't say your God and your Lord. He said, my God and my Lord. Can you claim that? Can you claim that? What happens? I have my God. My God. Can you claim that? So 2 Corinthians chapter 1, 5. This is Paul said, just as the suffering of Christ are ours in abundance, so also our comfort abundant through Christ. In God, who raised the dead, who delivers from the great peril of death, delivers He on whom we have set our hope, He will yet deliver us. Why He said this? He said He was almost dead actually. He said he has no hope. Think about it. Apostle said, I have no hope to live on. Think about it. Apostle Paul said, I have no hope to live on. Complete hopeless. The Apostle Paul. And he said, in God who raised the dead, who delivers from so great peril of death, will deliver us, He on whom we have set our hope, and He will yet deliver us. In Christ, in His God, Christ, He is the hope to be delivered. Delivered. Not only that, even though things are happening, things are happening as you wish, as you have prayed. This is how Apostle Paul talk about his God. 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 9 to 10. He has said to me, my grace is sufficient for you. For power is perfected in weaknesses, most gladly. Therefore, I will rather boast about my weaknesses, so the power of Christ may dwell in me. Therefore, I am content with weaknesses, with insults, with distress, and persecutions, with difficulties, for Christ's sake. For when I'm weak, then I am strong. My God said to me. My God said to me, when I'm weak, I'm strong. So I agree. I buy it. I second to it. I said, you're my God. You know what I'm saying? Through the life of Apostle Paul, we understand that people who have their own God, how we react, how we deal with their situation, when they should obey, even though it seems, awkward and it seems really, uncomfortable. But my God said, you must obey, we obey. And even though we might go through some really hard time, it seems like we cannot endure forever, but then our God, my God, continuing giving us strength. That's what we remain on. We continue to move on. My God. So I think it's time to really think about your God and my God. Same God, of course. But then, it seems like it shows, David's closeness with God, his intimacy and then deep relationship, right? And that really, powerful, powerful closeness between David and the Lord, right? Lord. We sometimes we gather together sometimes, we just do fellowship together, and then we sometimes think of we I know we share the same God. We share the same God. But then we sometimes think too much of God corporately. We need our individual ownership over God. That's individual ownership over God. I'm being responsible for my God, and I'm dependent. I'm saying, like David, which is he acted like he possessed the wholeness of God alone. And I'm saying, he acted like he possessed wholeness of God alone. See, when you have your God, God is not divided with other people. You met your God, wholeness of God, right? When I pray, and other people pray, so God divided. No, it's not like when I pray, I talk to God with His wholeness. This is what I'm saying. This is how David said, I am in Him, which is God's not divided. The wholeness of God with me. So David has said that this is my God, even though I face some really unspeakable situation. At the same time, verse 7 says, "The God, the Lord, the strength of my salvation, you have covered my head in the day of battle." Another reason David really, sticking out, and then another reason David was sustaining his life really healthily and faithfully and confidently, because he said, "The God the Lord," which is really another translation saying, the God the Lord means the, sovereign God. In NIV, and it says and sovereign God, and many other Bibles says really sovereign God, and New English translations in sovereign God. Sovereign God, the strength of my salvation. He is my rescuer. He has a perfect power to rescue me from any situation. This is how David sees God, sovereign God. Sovereign God, right? When God said being sovereign, it's called to be sovereign, which is God's willingness. Actually, God's different from other, idols. Idols are not sovereign, but only one God who is sovereign is the Lord of Lords and King of Kings. His name is Jesus Christ. Actually, right? He is sovereign. What does sovereign mean? Psalm 135:6 says, "Whatever the Lord please, He does in heaven and earth, in the seas and in all this." Sovereign means God is God, actually. God really shows who He is exactly and enough and perfectly. God is not limited at all. He is truly living in, true God, sovereign God. Like I said, Psalm 147, which is in the NIV rendering, "Sovereign Lord, my strong deliverance, my strong deliverance." So in the sovereignty of God, God's power is fully packed. It's enough, right? Very powerful and very it's like dynamic actually, right? Thomas Watson said this one: "The creation was but the work of God's fingers. Redemption is the work of His arms." So this is really showing that, of course, which is more mightier power to be needed, which is redemption. Redemption is a saving, sinner is taking God's power more than creation. Actually, this is what Thomas Watson said. But anyway, either way, creation or redemption, God takes His power to do it. Without God's power, there's no creation. Without God's power, no one can be redeemed at all. God's power. So David said, either spiritual or temporal, God's able to save me. He's the only one who can who can really rescue me from this situation. Even though I really describe this situation very detailed and then really graphically, because he's in big trouble. But you know what? I am confident in the Lord because He is sovereign. That's why He can save and rescue me. But then how His sovereignty operated over the man of David. Verse 7 said, "You have covered my head in the day of battle." You have covered my head in the day of battle. This is an amazing description actually. In a war, I researched a little bit. Today, 21st century soldiers, they wearing combat helmet. Even in the ancient times, they used it they tried to distract them from arrows and sword and stuff like that. Actually, today's battle, I heard that more than 35% of soldiers got dead because, which is really brain damage by gunshot wounds. At the same time, when someone gets really damaged in their brain, more than 90% get really lethal with deadly damage. 90%. That's a high percentage actually. You know what I'm saying? That's what they do. They try to put on their helmet to protect. So here David said, even though I'm going through, life itself is war. We're living in the spiritual warfare now, right? This is spiritual warfare. Even though BLM movement and all kinds of social justice, all kinds. It seems like a very psychological, anthropological, and also philosophical. It's not. It's more than that. It's truly spiritual warfare. God said, "I become your helmet. When you go out to war, don't worry. I'll protect you. I protect your brain. You protect your head. So you need to fight. Go do it. You're in the spiritual warfare. You're spiritual warfare. You gotta fight. But you know what? I'll protect your hair. Don't worry. I never fail. Protecting our head is very important. Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23 says, "Watch over your heart with all diligence, for far from it flow the springs of life." Head is very important though, right? And not only we have the brain in our head, but this is our mind though. This is our heart. This is our thinking. The thinking of Christianity from our head. It should be protected. It should be shielded. It's defended. But God said, "I'll keep it. I'll protect you." I protect you, right? No wonder Ephesians chapter 6, verse 17 says, "Take the helmet of salvation." Take the helmet of salvation, right? This is what actually David says. It's what Paul says eventually, which is, even though we are going through all kinds of very destructive and there's an unconquerable situation, if you keep your salvation in your mind, then you'll be fine.
Amen.
I'm saying, in your mind, you'll be fine. That's why you need to protect your head. And God said, "I'll be a helmet to protect you." This is my work, my sovereign work. Why? What do you mean by helmet of salvation? Helmet of salvation implies that the hope of our salvation. You know what I'm saying? Our burning hope still, in our minds, our burning hope for heaven, burning hope for glorification, continually working and continually operating in our heart. If we have it, whatever happens, even though the heavens collapse today, you can survive. You can survive. This is very important, actually. Even though you have been disappointed with many things, I mean, disappointments coming all over the place, actually. We're being like a darted with many disappointments every day, right? But then your minds and heart become protected. You keep going. You keep going. You can be overcoming, right? Overcoming, right? Daniel chapter 3 is a perfect picture, actually. How could overcome that suppression and that really, really fear? King said, I'm gonna burn you up. I'm gonna burn you in the 7 times hotter furnace. Not only my anger is burning, at the same time, this physical burning is real, actually. How could they overcome? Because their hope of salvation in their minds being kept alive. That's why, because of that, they continue saying something right about God. That's the thing. Something right about God. That's the key moment to overcome any pressure, you know what I'm saying? Right? Whatever happens, we cannot control, but how we respond, that's our control, that's our really solution, that's our key to succeed in our spiritual lives. We cannot control whatever happens, actually. David said, I cannot control my enemies, but I can control my heart. Because I believe my God is sovereign, and He promised He will protect me, being my helmet to protect my mind. I continue showing my true biblical view of God. This is what I believe. Daniel chapter 3, verse 16 to 18. Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego replied to king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we do not need to give you an answer concerning this matter. If it be so, our God, whom we serve, is able to deliver us from the furnace of blazing fire. What amazing, right? He didn't take it like someone like, I want to take it spiritual. No! These 3 guys said, God even can rest me from this harder, 7th harder furnace. God can save. God can rescue me. That's God's sovereignty, actually. Right? God's sovereignty cannot be melted by any further harder furnace, actually. Nothing. Who can control God's sovereign will? He said, furnace blazing fire, He will deliver us out of your hand. Wow! Which is, my God's mighty than you. And what? But, if it does not, let it be known to your king, we are not going to serve your God. Wow, he really insult king too. Serve your God, G-O-D-S, not G-O-D, God. Or worship the golden image that you have set up. I'm not really saying that I'm not surrendering to your golden image, I know after this one, you're going to continue doing the same thing. Many gods. You're polytheistic, actually, right? You're many gods. Even though God doesn't save me, well, so be it. How could you say that? Because God protect His head, mind, understanding. Amen? Understanding. That's why our hope is continually burning and continually remaining. Continually operating. Continually propelling some energy for us to sustain and stand strong in dealing with anything difficult. Lastly, Paul's the same thing. 2 Timothy 1:12. I'm suffering these things, but I am not ashamed. For I know whom I have believed, and I am convinced that He is able to guard what I have entrusted to Him until that day. He said, I know whom I believed. Why? It is mine. Salvation, the source of salvation. When he started, he will finish it. My hope is nothing. My hope is in only Christ. Right? Only Christ. This is our salvation, you know. This is our salvation. Right? How do you know I'm saved? My hope, living hope, endless hope, eternal hope is in Christ alone. Amen? That's why I know what I believe. I'm not ashamed, and then I'm not scared of anything. Not because I take effort to remember. No. Holy Spirit keep you remembering. Amen? This is what God does. What God did to David, what God will do to us. That's why, whatever happens, you know, whatever happens, even though the world is turning upside down, the heavens collapsed, whatever happens, we're going to survive. We can survive. This is the world that God created. That God places us for His task, purposefully. That God is looking for those who are worship in truth and in spirit. Because we have a burning hope in our mind, understanding. Whatever happens, no one can distinguish our burning hope. But God continually feeding, adding fuel to continue to be burning. You know, our hope. This is what you are meant. Always examine your heart, whether you still have a really clear, biblical, pure, holy hope coming from the Lord Jesus Christ. Amen? Right. Okay, let's pray. Let's share a prayer request.